What's up, guys? This video, we're going to be breaking down the 2022 Tennessee Volunteers football schedule. Just going through predicting wins and losses and just talking a little bit about the matchups in each game, what to look out for, stuff like that. First game of the year, we are playing at home against Ball State. This is a game that Tennessee should win easily. I don't expect to slip up Ball State out of the MAC. I believe they had 4 wins last year, so not a great team, not a good team at all. A small conference. This should be a walk in the park. I expect Tennessee to win by 30. If they don't win by like 3 or 4 scores, I'd be absolutely shocked. So, starting off against Ball State, 1-0. Second game of the year, they're going to Pittsburgh. This is a game that a lot of people have. It's a potential trap game for Tennessee. Pittsburgh came into Neyland last year and won, but last year Pitt had Kenny Pickett, one of the best quarterbacks in college football, as well as Jordan Addison, one of the best receivers. He won the Blitnikoff. He's since transferred out to USC. So, there's a lot of production on that offense that's missing compared to last year. Pitt does have a quarterback transfer coming in from USC, Kedon Slovis. I've watched Kedon Slovis the last couple of years. He's a good QB, but I don't think that he's on the same level as Kenny Pickett. So I think that as far as an offensive perspective, they're not going to be as dangerous as last year. They do have a good defense, especially defensive line. Maldonado leads the line there for Pittsburgh. He's definitely going to be an NFL player. But Tennessee's offensive line returns 4 out of 5 starters, and that was there's a lot of high, NFL talent on that Tennessee line. I believe a lot of high quality recruiting. A lot of 4 or 5 stars on that line. So I think they should be able to hold up against that Pittsburgh front four. It'll be an interesting matchup. I think it'll be a good test to see where the Tennessee offensive line is at because, Phil Steele has that Pittsburgh defensive line as one of the top 5 in the entire country. So it'll be interesting to see how that matchup plays out with that Tennessee offensive line versus that Pitt D line. But overall, I think that Tennessee should be able to go into Pittsburgh and get this done. I think Tennessee would have won that game last year in Neyland had Hendon Hooker played the entire game. Joe Milton played the first half. He was still the starter at that point. Suffered an injury in that game, and that's where Hendon Hooker came in and then, kind of just took over from there, had one of the best seasons a Tennessee quarterbacks ever had. I think that Tennessee goes to Pitt, gets it done, and starts out 2-0. Third game of the season, they're at home against Akron. Akron is a team that won 2 games last year. This should be another cupcake win for Tennessee. Akron does have a wide receiver that transferred in from Pitt. He's probably going to be the best player in that offense, but I don't think that they should test Tennessee really at all. I think that Tennessee should cruise to a large victory in this game, start out the season 3-0. And then the first conference game of the year against Florida at home in Neyland. I think this is a case of I think Tennessee can get a win here against Florida. Florida, their program in general kind of trending downwards. Had a losing record last season for the first time in a long time. Finished 6-7. A lot of players transferred out, but they do have a dangerous quarterback, Anthony Richardson, guy who's a dual threat, exciting player to watch. They've got talent at a lot of positions. They've got a lot of 4 or 5 star talent on that offensive line. They got Justin Shore, who transferred in from Penn State. Was a former 5-star recruit out of high school. They got Xavier Henderson, a wide receiver as well, another former 5-star. They've got players. They got running back. They're deep at running back. Lorenzo Lingard, another guy transferred in from Miami, former 5-star recruit, as well as a couple other guys. Forgot their names right now, but there's no lack of talent at the skill position areas for Florida, even though a lot of guys have left. In the defense, they have talent as well. They have Brenton Cox. They got a bunch of talent on that defense as well. But I think that it's the first season with Billy Napier coming in from Louisiana, making the change. I think that Tennessee, has some familiarity and continuity going into year two with Josh Heupel. And I think at home in Neyland is really going to make the difference here. I predict Tennessee to get the win. I'm going to say, 1 to 2 scores, different 1 to 2 score win against Florida at home. Start the season out 4-0. Then there's a bye week, and they go at LSU. This is a tough game. Brian Kelly coming into LSU, his first season. But the swamp is always one of the toughest places to play in America, and LSU has a lot of talent on that team. Uh, I would say the one position right now, when I was looking at that LSU depth chart and that roster, where I think they're at the weakest, is at quarterback. I don't think Miles Brennan is a great quarterback. I was never been impressed with him. I think if Brian Kelly sticks with Miles Brennan, I think that Tennessee should be able to go in there, and get the win. If he goes with Jaden Daniels, the transfer out of Arizona State, I think the LSU is going to have a much better season, and could be interesting. LSU has good talent at running back position. They got John Emery, a great player. Also, they got another guy transferred in, Noah Kane out of Penn State, coming home. So that's a great 1-2 punch at running back. They got talent and size on that offensive line. They got Boutte, a wide receiver, another dangerous guy with a lot of speed. The defense, a lot of 4 or 5 star players on that defense. LSU is always a tough place to play. Always have good NFL talent on that team. So I think it's just one of those things where this could go either way for Tennessee, and it's one of the swing games I think on their schedule. This was tough. I was going back and forth on this, but I do think that Tennessee, will lose a couple games that is our swing games, especially this one on the road at LSU. I'm actually going to think that Tennessee's going to lose this game. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a 1-score game either direction. But I am going to pick LSU in this game, and that will bring Tennessee to 4-1 on the season. Next week, they're at home against Alabama. This is another game last year. It was a very close game until the fourth quarter. It was 31-24, with about 13 minutes left in the game. In Tuscaloosa. They're in Neyland this year. It's a big difference playing on the road or at home in the SEC. But, Alabama, they're preseason #1 for a reason. Bryce Young returning, best quarterback in America. Got the best head coach in Nick Saban. A lot of players, a lot of talent on that team. So, I think I am going to pick Alabama to win this game. I think it'll be another close one. I think all of Tennessee's losses are going to be close. I think they're going to be competitive in most of their games, but I think there's just too much to go pick against Nick Saban, Alabama. So I am going to pick Alabama here. I think Tennessee will fall to 4-2 here. Next game, they're at home against UT Martin. Should be a cupcake. They should be a blowout. There's not really too much to talk about here. So that'd be 5-2 for the Vols. Next game, they're at home against Kentucky. Kentucky's another team, won 10 games last year. Got Mark Stoops. It's the coach. They got good talent, on offense. They got Chris Rodriguez at running back, one of the best backs in the league. They got Will Levis, quarterback transfer, came in out of Penn State last year. He's a good player. They have a solid offensive line. They got some players at receiver. The defense is solid. DeAndre Square and at linebacker, one of the best in the conference. And they're a solid team, but I think that Tennessee got the best of them last year in Lexington, and I don't think that Kentucky will be able to come into Neyland and pull that off if they weren't able to get it done last year in Lexington. So I am going to pick Tennessee here, get it done at home against Kentucky. They're going to move to 6-2 on the season. Then they have to go to Georgia. That's a tough matchup, tough game, going to Georgia against one of the best teams in the country, the defending national champs. Georgia did lose some players. They lost their 2 best receivers, and George Pickens and Jermaine Burton, who transferred to Alabama. But they still have quarterback Stetson Bennett returning for his super senior season. They got a great offensive line. They got two great tight ends and Brock Bowers and Eric Gilbert, who should be a huge part of that offense. And they do have talent at receiver. They got lots of 4 and 5 star recruits that come in every single year. They always reload at Georgia. The defense going to be great as usual. I think they might have one of the best secondaries in the entire country this year, as well as one of the best linebackers in America coming back. So, I think that that's going to be a tough ask to go on the road to Georgia and get the win. So, I am going to pick Georgia in that game. I think it'll be close. I think it could be a 7 to 14 point loss for Tennessee in that game at Georgia. I think they'll fall to 6-3 on the season. Next game, they have Missouri at home. I think this should be a fairly comfortable win for Tennessee. Missouri, they're into year 2 with Eli Drinkwitz. They got they have players, or they have decent players on offense. They got Luther Burden, the number 1 wide receiver recruit in the country out of East St. Louis. He's going to feature a lot on that offense. They also have some players on defense. They're solid, but the quarterback position is a huge question right now for Missouri. They're still having quarterback battles to see who the starting quarterback's going to be, and none of them are super highly touted out of high school. So I'm not too convinced about Missouri on offense right now, and on defense, I think they're average. I don't think they're anything incredible. I actually think Missouri's probably going to finish 5th or 6th in the East this year, so I think that this should be a comfortable win for Tennessee at home. I think they'll move to 7-3 at this point. Next game is at South Carolina. Frank Beamer, the solid coach for the Gamecocks. They got Spencer Rattler coming in from Oklahoma, playing quarterback. They got some players at wide receiver. They got what's his name? DeCarrion Joyner. A great athlete, very dangerous with the ball in his hands. He'll be one of the weapons for them on offense, and defense. They're a decent group. I think that South Carolina is going to be a good team. I think they'll be a good competitive team. I think they'll be better than their record shows. They have a really tough schedule. They got to play, SEC East. Then they got to play Clemson, and they play a bunch of other tough games in the non-conference. But I do think that Tennessee is a better team. I think they'll be able to go and get a road win here. I think Tennessee should win this game, move them to 8-3 at this point. And then last game of the season, they're playing Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is a pretty terrible team. I think this is another game that should be a blowout. I don't think there's too much to discuss with this Vanderbilt football team. 2 wins last year. I don't expect much more from them. I expect 3 to 4 wins max for this Vandy team. I think it should be a blowout win for Tennessee. I think Tennessee will get the win here, and they'll finish the season 9-3. Which is a solid improvement from the 7 wins they had last year. But I think this Tennessee team could easily go 10-2, or they could fall to say at 8-4 if they lose that Kentucky game, or that one of the South Carolina games, or even the Florida game. So I think 10-2 for the ceiling, and then a floor I would say of 8-4 for this Tennessee team. That's what I expect. So yeah, it should be an improvement and a step in the right direction for year 2 for Josh Heupel.